I wondered if you could start by kind of telling us a bit about your upbringing and how you kind of first got interested in music and where you grew up and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously I grew up in Canada, and I'd say my first experience with music was obviously through my parents. So I always remember my dad always having a stereo playing, so that was always great, and a lot more of the classics, I'd say. So a lot of Alan Parsons Project and things like that, Led Zeppelin for sure, Boston. So that's really how it kind of started for me.
When you kind of became a teenager and started, experiencing for yourself, what were the bands that kind of first caught your eye?
Yeah, I mean, for me it was always classic rock, so I was always really into that Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin. So certainly throughout high school, you start meeting new people and hearing about what they like and what they get into, and I think in a lot of cases, whatever group you're hanging out with is kind of what you start listening to and really get into. And obviously I grew up in the 90s, so we had some pretty interesting music throughout that, and I still remember thinking I was very cool with the Dance Mix 95 and stuff like that, where you hear it today and you're like, not quite as cool as I once thought I was, but definitely all the way throughout. And then obviously in 2014 when I bought Sunrise, you start hanging out with people who really know music. You think you know music, and then you meet these people, and that just made everything different. You just learned different things, found different artists, different bands, things you never would have thought you'd be into. So I think that takes the passion to the next level, because I honestly wasn't buying albums until 2014, and after one of the buyers gave me a bunch of albums, it's like now you kind of, I don't know, it's my buyer would tell you it's a sickness. You just all of a sudden you're always out everywhere you go. You're like, oh, albums, okay, let's get a couple. So it just grows from there.
So you didn't really grow up kind of record shopping or hanging out in record shops?
No, I mean, it was always CDs, right? Where we were, it was like Music World and a lot of the older names that are no longer there. So for me, I grew up just buying CDs. Of course, that was the biggest thing. And always had a great collection, and always remember, you'd always make your little mixed compilation tapes and everything else. So, but definitely was into that, but never vinyl. Vinyl was never something even on my radar, to be honest, until 2014.
I mean, tell us about Sunrise. I mean, how did that first all come about initially?
Yeah, so in one of the other companies I owned, we were selling Sunrise a lot of the pop culture product that they carried, and became really good friends with the buyer there. And the owner, Malcolm, was retiring. He was in his 80s. And he said, I'm just going to wind it down and call it a day. And my friend, who was the buyer, is like, there's nothing to running a record company. Come on in, buy it. It's easy. You'll love it. And convinced me to do it. And it was definitely nothing of what he said. It was not easy. It was not just come in and everybody can do it. But that's really how Sunrise started.
I've read quite a lot that local artists and local things are a big part of Sunrise as well.
Yeah, so I mean, every store has the ability to carry and stock the local artists and sell it, which is fantastic. And then we also did a competition last year where we let people who were unsigned submit their demo tapes, and we ended up, we picked 2 winners, and we ended up pressing them on vinyl for them and putting them chain wide. So definitely, we think supporting local and grassroots is a critical part of doing this, and it's probably one of the most fun parts of doing it too.
And in terms of HMV, I mean, when did you kind of become aware of it as a brand?
Yeah, I mean, very early on. Like we even before I got into the business, we always knew HMV. Even in Canada, HMV was a brand name for sure. So always was aware of it, and I remember when I bought Sunrise, we truthfully always said we aspired to be like, to have stores as nice as HMV, because our stores were never quite as nice. We had more of, a record shop feel, but HMV in Canada always had those really very nice stores, really nice carpet. Everything was really done to the nines. So we always thought, wow, one day it'd be really great to have a really nice store like that. So.
And sitting in now in 2019, as HMV is now, what attracted you to the business?
I mean, it's such a great brand. you go into the stores, and I'd shop the stores in the UK, and the employees are, the best, right? They know their stuff. You don't go in and it's just some guy who's like, yeah, I don't know, somewhere over there. Like, they're very engaged, happy to talk with you and work with you on, what do you like, what do you want, what do you need. So, I mean, I it's not just lying. I feel lucky to be able to own this. I think it's pretty amazing to be able to own this. So it's over the last few days, it's slowly starting to kick in that it actually happened, because even throughout the negotiations and everything else, I always had that feeling. I was like, yeah, this is never going to happen. I mean, we'll keep negotiating, but there's no way we end up getting this. And then, of course, we did. So it's that's a good feeling.
I mean, it kind of goes without saying that there are a lot of challenges with physical media and with retail more generally in this year. What kind of gives you the confidence to keep going?
A really committed base of customers and a really committed base of employees. So I think the way I looked at it was, yes, there's challenges with rents and rates and Brexit, and there's just all these issues, and then you've got a declining physical market, and but through all that, the silver lining of it all is you've got this iconic brand that people love, that they all have great memories of. That it's like, I remember when. You've got a chain, doing some amazing sales, and you've got this really committed employee base. And so I just kind of looked at that and said, the hardest part of any business is having engaged customers, engaged staff, and we've got that. So if we've already got that, I think we can fix the rest. So, to me, it was just, we can make this work. We can fix this. It's just some minor things that we can tweak, and we can make this work for a long time. I'm back again.